Welcome to 908 ENT, the podcast. I'm your host, Sal Liberato. We're here to help you take another step towards success. Now let's get ready to learn the basics from the best. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning back in. We have a special guest today, my brother, Coach Nick Liberato. Nick, thank you for coming on today.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on, Sal. Really excited about this opportunity. Super cool.
You got it. So Nick is the defensive coordinator at Madison High School. He worked his way up over there. Last season, his defense put up some awesome stats. He also coaches golf at the school, but that's all like public info. So Nick, is there any info that you want our listeners to know about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a huge part of what I do is coach, also a teacher over there as well. But one thing trying to work for and trying to preach through my teaching is a lot of balance, right? So you don't have to be totally one thing or the other. You have some balance. You got things you got going on at work, things you got going on at sports, but then things outside as well. So having a good balance, work-life balance is something that I preach a lot through my own actions, but trying to have these high schoolers learn that as well, to have balanced lives as they got school, they got sports, they got family, they got friends, all that type of stuff going on.
Yeah, that's great. So to start it right off, I like to ask everybody, what is the three simplest things that lead to success?
Three simplest things that lead to success, right off the top of my head. Definitely discipline is going to be one major one. Mm-hmm. You got to have a work ethic, and you got to have some enthusiasm. So disciplined, you'd obviously know what that means to us. Then you definitely got to have some work ethic. Can't just talk about it. You got to be about it as well. And you got to have enjoyment and enthusiasm with what you're doing. Cause yeah, there's going to be some days where it's going to be things that you don't want to do, but, for the majority, you got to be getting some enjoyment out of the things that you're doing on a daily basis, day in and day out, whether that's your work, your job, whatever you're trying to do. Doesn't matter what field you're in. If you got some discipline, you got some work ethic, you got some enthusiasm about what you're doing on a daily basis, keys to success right there.
Yeah, those are definitely three great ones. So you're a teacher and a coach. You've been doing it for maybe like 5-6 years now. Can you share a moment or experience that inspired you to want to become a teacher or coach?
Yeah, so actually finishing up my 5th year now, so pretty cool, cool process with it. Well, not really any particular moment or anything like that, but definitely knew that I wanted to be in coaching, and something that goes extremely well with coaching is teaching for the timetable, and it kind of relates a lot hand to hand with it. So I'd say there's a lot of crossover between how I teach and how I coach. So it just is something that not really one instance, but kind of found myself being pretty good at it. So it's something that I knew that I would want to make my career. So not any one instance. So I know kind of like a blanket answer right there, but it just kind of fits my personality, my style. And again, works really well hand to hand, like definitely a design for those two things to go together.
Yeah, 100%. So you're talking about your coaching style, like coaching football as opposed to coaching golf. Like, how does that differ?
Yeah, I would say greatly, like very much different. But I actually like it a lot. So kind of as I was talking about before, like the balance. So football is very intense, very much a lot of work on a weekly basis to be successful, even to have a chance for success. So there's a lot of clocking in that you got to take care of with the football season, pretty much a year-round gig. So this golf opportunity that I got to coach, I knew the head coach from being a teacher in the district, and there was a huge influx of aspiring golfers, needed some more coaches and things like that. And it kind of fell into a great end of the year position. So I'd say it's kind of my like calm before the storm, before football season really gets kicking off. And I'm definitely an improving golfer myself. And it's just another opportunity to coach and be with like a different population of students and kids. Like I know them from teaching, but coaching golf, definitely a way different atmosphere than like a Friday night football game. So kind of plays right into the whole balance idea. And it's a cool thing that I really enjoy. And I definitely see myself golfing for years down the line.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like you said, Friday night football stadium that's rocking with the band and everything, as opposed to, out on the golf course where it's peaceful and quiet with, no sound. So
yeah, it's kind of like a getaway. It's like, it's really cool. And it's, I still bring a little bit of my like football coaching style into it too, but obviously to a certain extent, it's not like you're going around hooting and hollering and running around like that. So definitely a little bit of a different approach for that, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you share a valuable lesson that you've learned from?
Yes, for sure. There's many to count, but one, it's kind of like a motto that I bring to the table too for my athletes is, are you going to accept the challenge? So each day, while you have an idea of what's going to go on, working with high school kids and working with games where you don't know the outcome, kind of all that stuff as a whole, there's going to be challenges that you don't know that you're going to face that day. So are you going to accept it or are you going to not? So again, sometimes the challenges are easier to accept than others. Some have a way great or a far bigger impact than others. But again, that's kind of the whole idea behind it, is that something always exciting, something always you can learn from. And that's what I try to do is bring all that stuff into teachable moments where, hey, there's going to be things that don't always go your way. So how are you going to respond? How are you going to act around with your teammates? How are you going to act in the face of adversity or some sort of defeat or something like that? So again, kind of back to the blanket statement, not just one specific thing, but a lot of different challenges that present themselves throughout the years. It's how are you going to act when things don't go your way?
Yeah, I really like that. Accept the challenge. So how does that tie into the summer workouts? I know you have a role in, writing part of the summer workout. So did you try to tie that in at all to it? Or how did you go about like starting that plan from the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we mentioned before, like all year round job for coaching football as well as being a football player. So huge opportunity to take more of a leadership role with getting the strength and conditioning things going over the summer. So the challenge is definitely brought into that. We try to bring it into literally every aspect because we know where we want the kids to compete at is a very high level, and high level for us is postseason. So anytime you're in a postseason situation, there's constant challenges because you don't make it to the postseason with being not a great team. So the whole idea behind that is to put them in situations where they have to rise to the occasion or rise above the adversity. So the idea of challenges is brought into the workouts, practice, or even our meetings when we're going over things on the board or installing things. The challenge aspect is brought into literally every single aspect of our coaching, of our training, of our learning, of our teaching for our athletes.
That's great. You got to get them comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know that's like a major cliche with it, but it absolutely is. And we talk about like you can't be a robot because things happen out of our control and sometimes not as they're supposed to happen out there on the field. And that's the same thing. We bring that back to things don't always happen as they're supposed to in life. So they have to have an idea and understanding and be cool under that pressure. So again, like you said, with the getting comfortable, being uncomfortable.
100%. So how do you stay updated with coaching or trying to learn new things, whether that's, a new defense or just new workouts, stuff like that? Like, are there any books, trainings, podcasts, videos that you guys do or you personally do?
Yeah, so definitely us as a staff, we're talking all the time. So I'm very fortunate to have our head coach is also a phys ed teacher. So we work together on a daily basis and just have conversations literally all the time about what we're doing or new ideas or how we can get better at whatever else is going on. So that's definitely a huge thing is constant communication. And then I'm also communicating with other coaching staffs as well. Two of my really good friends, my best friends are head coaches at Dayton High School and then new head coach at Whippany Park High School. So we talk all the time over text, over calls, meeting in person about new ideas and things like that. And then I guess you could call it professional development is the Glacier Clinics, which is all around the nation. But they have one here locally in Atlantic City once a year. So we get emails, updates, go down there to the conference to talk and hear people talk from very high levels, from high school to college and even to professional coaches there to get some ideas. And then my own research as well, just like looking up things from articles to ideas to videos to workout plans, all that different type of stuff.
Nice. So those clinics, you get to meet a lot of different coaches and like network and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's basically a huge networking opportunity. So go down there, with your staff or whatever it is. You get to sit in and listen to some information. But like I said, it's local here to New Jersey, down in Atlantic City. So a lot of New Jersey coaches go. So you see some of the coaches that Maybe you get to meet some new coaches, some staffs that you play against or whatever else is going on. But again, it's just everybody's there for the same reason, to go get some ideas and share some ideas and get better. So even though we're competing against each other, it's definitely a cool atmosphere because that's kind of the off season. So it's not like we're going at each other with it, because obviously that time is saved for Friday nights and Saturday afternoons. But it's a cool opportunity to get down there and network and make some connections and meet some new friends and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure everybody has like a totally different mindset in that setting as opposed to, game day, like you said. So that's neat that's, available to you guys.
Yeah, way more relaxed of a setting for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So another question, we got a little this or that question. Does hard work beat talent, or does talent beat hard work?
So I'm going to go with 11 out of 10 times. I'm going with the hard worker kid over the kid with the talent, because obviously you want to have some dudes on your team. But what I'd rather have is a kid kind of accepting that challenge 10 out of 10 times than a kid who has the talent. But again, sometimes it's almost like the cliche of like the talented kid doesn't always work as hard. Not always the case, not even in the slightest. But I know where I'm putting my money if I'm betting on the situation. I'm going with the hard worker over the talent. Like I said, 11 out of 10 times there.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. I know that there's a full phrase to it. We left off the end, but a lot of people have said that, hard work beats talent. That's what they feel, and that's their opinion. So that's neat.
What is it when talent doesn't work hard or something like that?
That's technically the true saying.
Yeah.
But I wanted to leave the end off to leave it open-ended to see what people thought. And a lot of people went with the hard work beats talent.
Yeah. And you know what? I sometimes too, it's easier said than done, because at the end when we're competing, we're trying to win and stuff like that. But you got to put the values of what you're trying to teach and what you're trying to preach and get across. Definitely the hard work is outweighing the talent more often than not. So that's definitely the situation that we're trying to preach with that. But again, too, don't get me wrong. You got to have some talent to be out there and play. But I think if you work hard, you have the ability to develop those talents and become better at whatever you're trying to do.
So then hard work beats talent, talent beats hard work. Obviously, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to face an obstacle. So what way do you go about trying to overcome obstacles? And then what about for your players?
Yeah, so there's definitely times as a coach where you're like, what's going on, this and that. And something that I think gets you set up for that before those challenges even arise is being highly prepared and having the week planned out so that you're organized on your end. Because if you come up as a coach and then you're trying to figure stuff out on the field, you look like you don't know what you're doing. And if you're doing that, then you don't know what you're doing. So you got to be prepared for all these different things going on. And then what we try to do, too, to get our kids prepared is have meetings before and after practice. Obviously, let them know what's going on for the week, but also to make practice intense. More times even so than the game, so that when they get to these types of situations, it's not the first time that they're having to react on their feet or think on the fly or go make some sort of spectacular play. We practice these things as much as we possibly can. And again, too, keeping composure as a coach and not freaking out when something doesn't go well. They're going to follow our lead as coaches because we're going to be their leaders on and off the field. So staying cool, staying calm, staying collected, and showing them that, hey, if something doesn't go our way, that's fine. We're going to get to the next play. That's what you got to do. And also, there's times to be animated and energized and jacked up. Yeah. And then there's also times to be calm, cool, and collected. So demonstrating those and saying, hey, we're going to be all right in times of maybe something isn't going our way. They're going to follow that lead and stay cool and just go out there and play.
Well, yeah, most times people take on how the boss is. So
yeah, for sure. So let's say official makes a call that we don't agree with. If I snap and lose my shit and then go off the deep end, then the kids are going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, okay, no problem, whatever, like, oh, don't agree with it, don't have to agree with it. What's the next play? What are we going to do? What's the next call? Just move on to the next situation. And then the kids will take on that role as well.
Yeah. So then touching on that, is there like anything you guys do like specifically to help the kids with this? Because this is like not really football related at all.
Yeah, for sure. So I have kind of along the lines of accepting the challenge. It's very much so from like the Pittsburgh Steelers saying of the standard is the standard. Okay. I don't take that word for word, but I tell our kids to uphold the standard. So we have a standard of how we're going to play, how we're going to prepare, but also, and more importantly, how we're going to act. So that's definitely weaved into all of our practices, all of our meetings, all of our talks, all of our learning. All of that type of stuff is going on because they're there representing not only themselves, but they're representing the Madison Dodgers and the community of Madison as well. So we talk about that a lot, where it's more so than just you, more so than just the football team. You're representing the colors, you're representing the maroon and gold, and you're representing the M. So that's more so than just you, just our team. That's community, and that's years in the past and years in the future.
Yeah. No, it's definitely interesting. So then how do you feel like being in a community like Madison helps with the success? Because that's definitely good tradition, great town. Is there like any correlation there, you think, with being in a town like that?
Oh, 100%. Because as just mentioned before, and as you just said, there's a lot of history and rich history at that of success. So that's something that we talk about all the time. Because again, it's important to be in that moment, in that year, and like this is now. But you got to understand and respect that this isn't just something that just came up out of nowhere. There's years and decades of loyal community members that have built the community to what it is and the team to what it is now. So understanding that your actions on and off the fields not only are yours, but again, too, you're representing the colors and you're representing the Dodgers as well, is something that we definitely try to drive home, because it means more. It has them get a little bit more of an understanding and a more of an appreciation for what they're able to do, because there's been some pretty cool things in the past that have happened for the Madison Dodgers. And we're planning on some pretty cool things to happen in the future. So tying those two together is extremely important.
Yeah, I forget what book I was reading, but it was talking about a huge thing to success is knowing that you're able to do it and it's been done before. So that totally applies to Madison. Not that, somewhere that's never won or won championships can't do it, but the fact that it's been done there before and it's in front of these kids, I feel like that, gives you guys definitely a leg up. Just knowing that you can do it and it's been done before within whatever organization you are in.
Yeah, that's huge. And what I try to do too is positively spin it. Like, not that you're comparing them to other stuff, be like, yo, but this is the same opportunity from the same town, from the same community. You guys can do this too. And not being like, oh, this team is better than that team. But like how you said, I'd love to check that out and say what that's all talking about, because it's been done before. You can do it again for sure. So that's definitely something comparable there.
Okay, so the name of the book was the 10X Rule. I feel like it kind of applies with winning and losing, in business, but in this instance for games. So basically it talks about that nobody is trying to lose, but people don't put in enough effort, energy, or the mindset to actually win. They underestimate what it's going to take in your mindset, in your energy, and your effort of what you actually have to do to win. So it's a really good book, and I feel like it's a business book, but there's a lot of correlation to sports. When I was reading it, I was like, oh, this applies to football or sports, whatever. But that point was definitely true in business, and I was an athlete myself, so I know it's 100% true in sports. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. Because kind of as we were talking about before, like being prepared. So everybody goes out there and you think all the work just happens on the field, whatever it may be. But yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes, and there's a lot of accountability and rest, taking care of yourself. Like all these sorts of things go into whether you're going to win or whether you're going to lose. And the thing is always, I feel like coaches always say too, you hear this, it's like, there's the guys out there working harder than you or this or that or whatever. And everybody always says that, but you never really know, because you're not at other teams' practices. You're focused on what you're doing. I think that's what you need to do. But what you have to do is just maximize your time to be able to say, we couldn't have done anything more that week or that day or that practice to get better. So driving home that intensity of again, being like, do all that you can do, use all the reps that you have available, learn as much as you can, ask as many questions as you can, get as knowledgeable as you can that week, that practice, that season, to do your best. So that's going to set you up for just that opportunity to go out there and win. Because again, you got to think, you're working, the opponent is working as well. It's just a matter of the combination between who's working as hard as they can and who's putting the pieces together as best that they can, player wise and coaching wise, to put the best product on the field to win on a Friday night or win on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
So like the title is called the 10X Rule. So let's just say in football sense, I forget what the exact examples were in the book, but if you think you have to run 10 sprints over the summer to, be in shape, you need to run 100.
Yeah.
So that's like the whole premise on it, but it's really good stuff.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I think people can do with that too is because everybody thinks it's always just the physical aspect. It's the mental aspect as well. So like, yeah, you got to run your sprints, you got to lift your weights, you got to do what you got to do, but you also got to get in the playbook and learn 10 times as many more plays, or learn 10 times as many more philosophies, or watch 10 more clips on Huddle or whatever else it may be, because it's all the combination of it. Because if we talk about this all the time, if you don't know what you're doing, you can't play. So if you don't know where you're supposed to be and get there when you're supposed to be there, it doesn't matter how big, strong, fast you are, you ain't going to be playing because you're not going to get the job done. So again, too, I like that though. So run the 10 more sprints, but watch the 10 more plays, read the 10 more articles, whatever else is going on. It's the mental aspect of it too.
Well, it ties into the playbook too, because anybody knows football. So you need to know your assignment, but you have to know 10 times that to know everybody else's assignment.
Absolutely, for sure. What we also do too, and I do this as well on the defensive side, like let's say we're running something, I say, you got to know your job, but you got to know the guys in front of you and to the left and right. Like, how does it all work together? So I think putting that extra info in there too, it doesn't like jumble it, but I think it makes more sense because it shows the bigger picture of how are all these pieces working together. So kind of to the point of that is learning not only your job, but why. Well, why is it you're doing what you're doing? How does it fit with the guys around you and with your teammates around you to go out there and achieve success?
Yeah, that's definitely great. So as we come to a close here, what final piece of advice would you give to our listeners to help them take another step towards success? Whether that is in, sports, if that's business, if that's, just in life in general.
Yeah, for sure. So success means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What I found through my coaching and my teaching and sort of gaining roles and gaining experience is just to be authentic. So you can't be anybody else. You got to be who you are, because if you're authentic and you're genuine with what you're doing, success is going to find its way to you, and you're going to find your way to success. You can't do something else or be somebody else. You got to do what you do and do it how you know how to do it. So being authentic and being genuine, again, that's going to allow you to do your best job with whatever that means. If you try to follow somebody else's role, like you can get inspiration, but you can't be somebody else. You got to be you, got to be authentic, got to be genuine. And that's how you're going to find your way to success with whatever you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point though, because a lot of coaching is taking stuff from other people, but making it your own.
Oh, we just say that it's all recycled and reused, just in a little bit of a different way. So
yeah, no, it's true for business. It's true for anything. If it's working, it's working, but you just have to turn it and make it your own. You can't just copy it and then think that you're going to do good because the other person is doing that. You're not that person. So making it your own is huge in anything, whether that's business, sports.
Yeah, no doubt. You got to put your spin, make it your style, and then it's going to come across as again, and it is going to be genuine and authentic. Because again, recycled and reused, that's all that football coaching is there. So again,
that's good. I like that.
You can make some tweaks and adjustments, but again, everybody tries to get to the end zone or prevent people from getting to the end zone. But there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on. If anybody wants to connect with you, you're on just Twitter, right? You want to give them your Twitter, so if anybody wants to connect?
Yeah, building up my Twitter following here for my coaching profile there is Coach Nick Lib. So very short, simple, to the point there. And yeah, you can reach out to me there or connect or whatever it is on there. Coach Nick Lib.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Nick, and thank you for everybody for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Sal.